Nearly 3 years into the Trump administration, the United States faces a multitude of challenges in the Middle East. While the administration touts its maximum pressure policy, Iran continues to destabilize countries from Iraq to Yemen to Lebanon. Despite President Trump's bellicose rhetoric, Tehran has been able to launch attacks on international shipping and regional states, undermining U.S. deterrence and credibility in the process. The Iranian nuclear program is more advanced today than it was on the day that President Trump took office, and the international community is more divided in confronting it. Iran continues to unjustly imprison Americans, including my constituent Bob Levinson, and violate the human rights of its own people. Iran also continues to support Bashar al-Assad and fuel the conflict in Syria, which has led to the deaths of more than 600,000 people and the displacement of millions both inside Syria and in neighboring countries. This conflict and the humanitarian crisis it created will reshape the Middle East for decades to come, but our policy in Syria remains ambiguous at best. President Trump has now twice announced the rapid and complete withdrawal of U.S. troops from Syria, with little notice given to international allies and partners on the ground. His approach has ceded U.S. leverage over a future political solution in Syria, placed American troops and civilians in danger, undermined our credibility, removed pressure on ISIS, and betrayed our Syrian partners who fought valiantly in recent years to counter ISIS with American support. I commend the successful operation this weekend to take out ISIS leader al-Baghdadi, but I caution that the removal of one individual should not validate our current withdrawal strategy. If anything, it should show us the importance of our counterterrorism mission and cooperation with partners on the ground in Syria. The President has also provided a strategic victory to our adversaries. Russia has used military force, economic support, and weapon sales to become the arbiter of Syria's future and to increase its regional influence at the expense of the United States. Yemen remains ravaged by civil conflict, foreign intervention, and the world's worst humanitarian crisis. The Trump administration has offered unstinting support to Saudi Arabia and the UAE in their military campaign in Yemen, ignoring the bipartisan support in Congress for ending U.S. military support for coalition operations. And while I understand the risk posed by the Houthis and Iranian forces, the conflict has led to tens of thousands of civilian casualties, shifted focus from al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, and dramatically worsened a humanitarian catastrophe. The region also faces ongoing challenges. Israel confronts threats on its borders from terrorist organizations like Hezbollah and Hamas, and peace with the Palestinians remains elusive. People in the West Bank seek a prosperous future, while Gazans suffer in need of humanitarian aid. The dispute splitting the Gulf Cooperation Council is at a stalemate. Libya, a state on the doorstep of Europe, is fractured and an arena for an expanding proxy war between regional powers. However, U.S. policy must not be solely reactionary and only respond to the many crises in the Middle East. It must also be forward-looking and grasp the many opportunities in the region. A youth bulge, approximately 45% of the Middle East is under 25 years old, presents a chance to reset U.S. relations with the people of the region in the coming decade. Tunisia just completed a successful round of elections as the country moves forward on the difficult path of democratic development. Protesters took to the streets in Algeria on Friday for the 36th week in a row to demand their government root out corruption and better meet the needs of the people. In fact, in recent weeks, protests have gripped other countries throughout the region, including Egypt, Lebanon, and Iraq, and led to the resignation of Lebanese Prime Minister Saad Hariri earlier today. More than 8 years after millions took to the streets to protest corruption and autocracy, these demonstrations indicate that too many regional governments remain unaccountable to their people and opposed to open civil society, transparency, and human rights. I'm disappointed that the Trump administration has offered an inconsistent message on human rights and democratic values. At a time when many are questioning American commitment to the region, the administration has too often turned a blind eye to human rights abuses and equivocated in expressing support for good governance in the Middle East. The administration often articulates maximalist goals in the Middle East, but has cut the resources needed to achieve them. For the third straight year, the Trump administration has proposed drastic cuts to our foreign affairs budget. The FY20 budget requested an estimated $6.5 billion in total bilateral assistance to the MENA region, a figure that is 6% less than the FY19 request and 11% less than what Congress appropriated in FY19. This subcommittee has oversight responsibility over the NEA Bureau and Middle East Bureau budgets, and I hope this hearing today can help us get some better understanding of the administration's strategy and a clearer articulation of U.S. policy in the Middle East and how we are allocating resources to accomplish our objectives in the region.